Hi, I'm Kathy Dawson. Welcome to Can You Relate, Cleveland's relationship show. You know, relationships are the lifeblood of life, and this show is all about helping you with your relationships. On today's show, we're going to talk about men and women and money secrets. We're also going to talk about friendships. Are your friendships high maintenance or low maintenance? We're also going to talk about homes, your home, and when you're buying a home, do you know what kind of home you want to buy? So let's get started. It's a sure sign of spring, and I'm not talking about tulips or daffodils. I'm talking about for sale signs on the front of lawns. If you're looking for a home or you're buying a home, do you know what kind of home you're looking for, or for that matter, that you're selling? There are all kinds of homes, and I'm delighted to welcome back Eileen McKeon, who's with Howard Hanna Real Estate Services. Thank you for being on this show. And I love it when you come on because we get to look at houses. I'm all about houses.
Good.
You talk about there being so many different kinds of houses, and sometimes it's hard for people to understand what they're buying.
Exactly.
So the first kind of house, we're going to just throw pictures up here, is a bungalow.
Right.
There's some misconceptions about a bungalow, correct?
There are. One of the things I think is important is, for starters, when buyers are looking, is to start writing down everything that they want in a house. And then what I recommend is they go back and almost like tournament style, choose 1 versus 2, 2 versus 3.
Okay.
And if they want, for example, bungalows, what makes a bungalow? A bungalow is it has a bedroom and a bath on the first floor.
Is that without exception?
Without exception.
Because I got to tell you, I look at this house, I wouldn't know that.
Right. So if you love the look of a bungalow, but you want all your children on the second floor with you, you should not be looking at bungalows.
Okay.
So there's a lot of things that I think if people understand what the exterior is, it'll reveal what the interior is.
Now, this is a Cape Cod. What's the difference between a Cape Cod and a bungalow?
Cape Cods are often called master bungalows. The 2 dormers on the top, the windows, is what makes it a Cape Cod.
This is my 3 sons' house.
It is, yes. It's like a Monopoly house.
Right.
But it also will have oftentimes the Cape Cods have the master on the first floor.
Really?
The bungalow has 2 small bedrooms and a full bath on the first, and the Cape Cod has a large, usually the master and the full bath on the first.
Next one is a French Tudor.
Yep.
Now, my parents built a French Tudor. It's a very romantic looking house.
It is. It's a lot of the older communities in Cleveland, Rocky River, Shaker, Cleveland Heights. They have the Tudors, and again, it's sort of the stucco with the boarding is what makes it a brick stucco boarding. This is a style of a colonial, which is kind of confusing, but all the bedrooms and baths will be on the second floor, and then you do have that third floor that's usually finished with a bath and bedrooms.
Now, the next one, speaking of colonial, is a colonial always a center hall colonial, or can you have it another way?
The colonial can be center hall. It can be a side entry, right? This is sort of a classic center hall colonial. Usually where the front door is where the staircase will be behind it. So in this case, you know it's a center hall. A lot of times the door will be on the side where you have a side entry. But again, this is a Georgian, which is a colonial. It's just a more defined term of a colonial is a Georgian.
This is like Williamsburg.
Right.
Yeah.
Brick. It's got the big entryway with usually a Palladian window on top.
And does the Georgian always have the ironwork?
Many times it does, yeah.
Okay.
All the detail. The Georgian's very southern, very rich in details.
I call it the Brady Bunch house, but maybe they didn't have a ranch.
Ranch houses.
See, you wouldn't think
I
that's
know.
a ranch.
I was going to say people have I think don't like ranches, but newer construction has some really great ranches. It's all the living on one floor, sometimes with the basement, sometimes not. But the main thing, empty nesters love them.
Now, is that a split level or a ranch?
That's a ranch.
Okay, that's
so it's
much
sort of
more
a California ranch, a little more modern, more efficient. There's sort of a trend towards this because they're very efficient homes.
Okay, with solar panels and all that kind of thing.
Exactly.
How about split level? Because that's a confusing house.
Split level is basically where you just have the family room on three or four steps down, and the kitchen 3 or 4 steps up, and then the bedrooms are 3 or 4 steps up. So it's split level living.
So if you're driving
that's the Brady Bunch, sort
that's
of.
The Brady
Bunch. That's the 70s.
Right. And if you don't do steps, you don't want a split level.
Correct.
How about a brownstone? Because when I think of brownstone, I think of New York City, and I didn't even think we had these here.
The brownstone is it's a townhouse, so it's 3 or 4 stories of living where you enter, and so again with the steps if you don't want the steps.
Right. I'm just curious, in Cleveland, where do you find brownstones?
A lot of the new construction, because the land costs are cheap, that you build up instead of building out. So the new construction you see around the city, infill type of construction, townhouses, attached.
Okay.
That's where you'll see a brownstone.
Oh, I could do
Brownstone
this.
is just the stucco, the color of the outside. It's
Okay.
kind of how it got its name.
I could talk about this for
It's
hours. I'm
fun.
so into homes. I love decorating. I love the curb appeal thing. Thank you for coming
Sure.
in. Great information.
Sure.
So if you would like to know what kind of house you want to buy, you probably want to call Eileen McKeon at Howard Hanna Real Estate Services at 216-233-6726 or go on the website, themckeongroup.com. Stay tuned because we've got Relationship Roundup coming up.
Up next, you and your friend have hit a dead end. Is your friendship over, or are you just overreacting? Our Relationship Roundup has some friendly advice. And later in the show, you want your yard to go green. We'll share ways that are people and planet friendly.
It's the 22nd Annual IX Indoor Amusement Park, presented by Marks. Open March 30th through May 1st at the IX Center. Don't miss all the savings. Bring in any Mountain Dew or Diet Pepsi can to the IX Center box office to receive a buy one, get one free general admission ticket. Offer valid weekdays after 3 p.m. only. Restrictions apply. It's here today, not gonna stay. The IX Indoor Amusement Park, where you pay one price and ride all day. It's fun for the whole family. Backed by popular demand, come see live daily tiger shows.
For those who struggle with drug and alcohol addiction, finding the courage to change is the first step to lasting recovery. Discover life in recovery. Discover Glen Bay.
Glen Bay, nationally recognized drug and alcohol treatment for adults. Discover more at glenbay.com.
This is the Relationship Roundup segment where I get to have my friends come on the couch and we get to talk about all kinds of relationship topics. First, I want to introduce you to my friends. We have Laura Zoldesi. Am I pronouncing that right? Zoldesi, right?
Either way, that's fine.
Welcome back. And you have 2 kids?
2 kids.
Married 15 years. Okay, welcome. Barbara Rose back again. 2 adult girls, married 39 years. Welcome back.
Thank you.
And Andrea, this is your first time on the Relationship Roundup cut.
Not married, no children.
However, you are co-host of Good Company Monday through Friday at 10 o'clock.
Yes.
Every day.
Yes.
Monday through Friday. All right, so here's the question. I can't wait to talk about this. Friends, if you finally have had it with a friendship, how do you end or sever, or should you sever a friendship?
Well, Laura and I used to be friends when she was Laura Wadsworth, but now that she's Laura Zoldesi, we're just Facebook friends.
We need to have lunch. I don't want to sever you.
No, I don't want to.
Okay, well, we've established that. That's good. But seriously, we've
Yeah.
all been through this.
Yes.
When you have a friend and you think, this isn't really feeling like a reciprocity, I don't like spending time with this person, how do you sever that?
I did it passive aggressively.
And how does
You did it
that
passive aggressively?
Absolutely.
Did it work?
Did.
Now, so tell everybody, what did you do? How
I
did you
just stopped taking phone calls. But it took a long time to get to that point. I mean, when the phone rang and I knew it was this person, I would get like a pit in my stomach, like I can't talk to this person. It's toxic for me. And toxic is such a cliched word, but it got to the point where I got off the phone and I felt terrible every time. So I just stopped, and that wasn't the mature way to do it. I'm sure there was a better way, but it was the coward's way out, and I took it.
And it worked. So the person stopped calling you eventually, obviously, right?
Yeah.
Okay, how about you guys? How do you do it?
I think it takes a while to recognize that this relationship is toxic, that you're giving more than you're getting, or they're too possessive, or they're smothering you somehow, or they're just not making you feel good, and you get that feeling in the pit of your stomach that I don't want to be with this person. And I think it's almost like breaking up a romance. You're unsure how to do it. So passive aggressive is a really good way to do it. Just stop taking phone calls and
Do you feel like you also get better at it with age? Like when you're younger, you just talk about them to everybody else. I don't know. It's gossip, and then as you get older, you realize that when somebody doesn't make you feel good, or it isn't adding something positive to your life, you break.
You don't have time.
No.
You don't and as the Methuselah of the group, I will tell you that it does get easier, because you start to recognize life is fleeting, and you're losing time when you could be with people who make you feel good and who you love and care about, and here's somebody who makes you feel like guilty or unhappy or just not
and
good.
So why are we doing this?
I remember learning from you a long time ago because you've been my free relationship expert. But I remember a long time ago, you're like, there's this book, it's called The Celestine Prophecy, which everybody's probably at least had it at some point.
A long time ago.
And you told me about this chapter, energy suckers, people who suck the life out of you.
So the toxic
Yes, and those are the people that you don't want around. So you're like, read that chapter and then don't have those people in your life.
Right. Well,
easier said than done.
Right. Well, the point is, yeah, they suck it out of you, but are you allowing it? Are we allowing it? See,
And
it's
there's a
about
difference
setting
between
boundaries.
like backing off and severing.
Yeah.
Like you can slowly back off of somebody, but severing is rough.
It's
That's
rough.
tough and it's hard to do, and you have to get to a point where you just can't do it anymore.
Because they don't necessarily see themselves that way.
Absolutely
Right,
not.
they don't.
No,
No,
absolutely
not at all.
not.
And we would attract them because I think, well, they probably don't have a lot of friends.
Right. And
So all
you're
the time
nice
we've been
and-
listening and allowing them to suck the life out of us.
I know the passive aggressive way, but have you ever sat down with someone and said, it's like a divorce. It's like
Absolutely not.
saying,
I can't do that.
I really am uncomfortable with our relationship. And
Oh, no way. I don't have the
Conflict. I can't do conflict.
I don't think
no.
that's
I have done it. I have done it.
How did they
It didn't go so
respond?
well.
You
But
definitely
you know
severed the
what? I had
relationship.
to speak my truth. I'm tired of pretending everything's okay. I spoke, not in a cruel way. I just said, this is what's going on for me, and it's not working for me
So
anymore.
you said, I don't want to be friends anymore.
Yep.
I want to break up.
Wow,
But don't
that
forget,
is
she's
tough
had
because that
tons
is
of training.
That's
you know,
Well,
and
yeah, but
that's
I'm
helpful.
54. It took me this long to do it.
I couldn't
it's
do it.
rough.
No
What's
way.
the best way to do it then? I mean,
Well,
because that's a difficult way.
It's
And then there's
difficult.
the
Okay.
easy way.
It's either a
There's
quick
pushing off the
1-2
cliff.
punch, it hurts,
Yeah.
or it's the long, drawn-out chronic thing. I'm for the, you know what, it hurts, get it over with, get it out, and then it's done.
I think writing a letter.
I think the more drinks that right now.
On that note, thank you so much for doing this. Is a tough question. You handled it beautifully, all of you.
Thank you very
So,
much.
if you have any comments on this, and I have to believe you do, please contact us at CanYouRelateTV.com or Facebook us or tweet us. So stay tuned because we've got Rate Your Relationship coming up next.
Your mate's caught a cold or is infected with the flu and needs some TLC from YOU. So, what's your practice for treating the patient? Do you check on your partner frequently to make sure he or she is comfortable or needs anything? Leave your mate alone so he or she can get rest. Hire a nurse to come in and take care of your partner. Kathy is ready to prescribe the best medicine for you and your mate.
There is probably no right answer to this question, but the best answer is to treat your partner the way they really want to be treated when they're ill. For example, if they like attention and you really aren't Florence Nightingale, you're going to have to set that aside and really pay attention to them anyway. If they're like me and they don't want to talk to you, they don't want to be touched, don't hover over them. So you really have to pay attention to what it is they like. I actually talk to engaged couples about this, and one of the questions I have them answer is, how do I like to be treated or taken care of when I'm sick? Very important. So if you know someone who would like to take this survey, they can do so by going to CanYouRelateTV.com. Stay tuned because we have more of Can You Relate coming up.
Up next, you and your friend have hit a dead end. Is your friendship over, or are you just overreacting? Our Relationship Roundup has some friendly advice. And later in the show, you want your yard to go green. We'll share ways that are people and planet friendly.
Craig and Mark Lindell and Grange Insurance understand that life is a series of brushstrokes, large and small. Moments from the everyday to the extraordinary. As you move through your world, let Grange Insurance and Lindell Insurance put the finishing touches on an insurance plan to meet your needs. Having Lindell Insurance and Grange handle your insurance while you stay in the moment. Now that's a stroke of genius.
You know, spring's around the corner. Spring is here. What am I talking about? If you're like me, you can't wait to go on the front lawn, run around with your pets, your kids. But what's on your lawn? You want to make sure that your lawn is congruent with the environment and that it's safe. Well, I'm really happy to welcome Alec McLennan here from Good Nature Organic Lawn Care Company. Welcome.
Thanks for having me.
Tell me about what we're doing with our lawns, because we think, we want it to look right, so we want to get rid of the weeds, but are we helping the lawn or hurting the environment? What's going on?
Well, kind of the traditional approach that's been used over the last 40 years or so is to put down kind of a cheap chemical fertilizer, which is salt-based, and actually kills off a lot of the biology in the soil.
Okay.
And so without that biology, long story short, it leads to having more weeds, more pests, more diseases. So then you need more toxic materials like pesticides, to control those weeds and pests and diseases.
Okay, time out. So the things we've been putting on our lawns all these years, we think we're getting rid of the weeds, but it's actually creating more weeds, which then means we need more chemicals?
Well, you're absolutely right. That's what the fertilizers do, and then you use the chemical to kill the weeds, which kind of the traditional approach focuses on killing the things that you don't want.
Right.
Whereas our approach focuses on encouraging the things that you do want, like healthy grass.
Okay, so what are you using that's encouraging the growth?
Sure. No, that's a great question. We use plant-based fertilizers, so things like soybean meal, corn gluten meal, alfalfa meal, and they actually help. They feed the microbes, and then the microbes convert it into nutrients that the plants can use.
Okay.
And so it's kind of a slow release. It's not going to, it's not going to contaminate into the water streams or anything like that. And in addition, right now people are all out putting down their pre-emergent weed control, and what that does is that acts as a blanket kind of over the lawn for about 3 or 4 months to prevent seeds from turning into weed plants.
Right.
So we have our big sample here. I don't know if anyone can see this or not, but this is our fertilizer.
Did you
can actually eat it. It's made from corn gluten meal, and this will actually.
I'm trusting you.
Yeah, there you go. It doesn't taste good.
Is this fiber?
Don't blame me. Yeah, it's good for you, but it's made from corn gluten meal. Yeah, it doesn't taste good. Sorry about that.
No, that's fine.
But it actually fertilizes the grass and prevents weeds, and so you're it
doesn't taste good, but it's good for the lawn. That's all
exactly. It's in your cornflakes, just a little more diluted. But so it's good for the grass, and it helps prevent weeds. And would you rather have your kids running around on a blanket of corn gluten meal or a blanket of chemical pre-emergent?
This is such good information.
Yeah.
What drives me crazy is when I see the chemical companies come along and they do the lawns, but meanwhile they're spraying the sidewalks. They don't realize it, and the pets are walking on it. And then they come into your house. I could go on for hours about this.
No, that's a pet peeve, is having to walk your dog around it. See, that's a question. Does it work? And so
show us this.
This is just a picture. I don't know how well you can see it, but it's an example of a neighbor on one side who didn't treat anything, and our client on the right who uses only our natural materials. And you can see there's a lot more weeds on the left, and the grass on the right is nice and green.
The weed that really is hard is the thistle. That's that thing where you try to pull it and it hurts because it's got prongs on it.
It does.
Do you have something to get rid of that without hurting the environment?
We do. We actually have a great tool. It's called the Speedy Weedy, which I probably should have brought with me today. But you can buy that at speedyweedyusa.com.
I never heard of that.
And it's a great plucker.
All right, what are we looking at here?
We're looking at, in the old days, they used to actually mix clover with grass seed. And then they invented weed killers, 50 years ago. And so the weed killers were killing clover, and so they took the clover out of the grass seed. But what we've come up with is a variety of clover that doesn't flower as much.
Oh.
So you can have the nice clover. It actually pulls fertilizer into your soil and helps the grass grow.
I mean, maybe I'm like Mother Nature or something, but I like it when the clover comes up. You cut your lawn, it goes away.
Yeah.
So anyway, thank you so much what you're doing for the environment. Seriously. And you have a seminar. So there's a seminar coming up at the Middleburg Heights Rec Center tonight at 7 p.m. It's called the Lawn Care Seminar, Chemical-Free Lawn Care Seminar.
There you
Love
go.
it.
Great.
Thank you for being here. And if people want to get a hold of you to take care of their lawns, they can call you at 216-641-9800 or go to your website at whygoodnature.com.
That's right.
I'll tell you why.
All right. Thanks, Kathy.
Thank you. Stay tuned. We have Romance Review coming up.
Later in the show, the route of a relationship can get rocky. Coach Kathy gives some direction on winding your way back to romance.
Spontaneity is an important part of making a romantic memory. Here's an idea that will surely surprise your mate and make him or her think, who is this person I thought I knew? This tip involves a bottle of non-alcoholic sparkling juice and 2 wine glasses or champagne flutes. First, wrap up the bottle of sparkling and 2 glasses in a padded bag or box. Then, hide it in the trunk of your car. The next time you and your mate are driving somewhere, find a safe place to pull over, jump out of the car, and run to the trunk to get the sparkling juice and glasses. Hop back in the car and watch your mate's look of surprise. That's the best part. Pour a glass of sparkling for you both, give one to your partner, and raise your glass in a toast to your relationship. Tell your mate how glad you are that you're together. Cheers. Here's to many more romantic moments.
Hi, Murray Plasko from Fashion Floors, here to remind you that Fashion Floors has a wide selection of carpet and the newest and hottest in hardwood flooring. Plus, we have the very latest in green products like bamboo and cork. Think big, save big, get 12 months same as cash. Call or come see us today.
Join in as Al's Deli celebrates its 5th anniversary. Nestled in downtown Cleveland's 55 Erie View Plaza building, Al's Deli serves breakfast, lunches, delicious Middle Eastern dishes, and has catering too. Al's Deli, a hidden treasure for your tummy. Log on for money-saving coupons today.
Next week on Can You Relate with Kathy Dawson, who's the boss in your home? Our Relationship Roundup has something to say about who should have the final say. Then, you and your mate go round and you do it around your children. Kathy offers advice on how to argue without an audience. Next week on Can You Relate with Kathy Dawson.
Whenever there's a big change in life, whether it's a job loss, maybe a move to a new house, whatever it is, it really affects the family. It affects all of the relationships. Well, another change that occurs is when someone retires. Huge thing that affects all the relationships. We have someone in to talk about this. This is Dick Dawson. You are a career coach who specializes in retirement, and if I might add, my husband. Okay, so welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
You are so welcome. What happens when somebody retires? I mean, how does that affect the whole family dynamic?
Well, it's going to affect families in a different way, but picture this, there's 70 million baby boomers coming up. All right, and many of them have families. Yeah, this is going to be a big thing because it's a wave of baby boomers coming up, and they have families. And think of this, people work for like 35, 40 years, and all of a sudden, and they're looking for retirement, all of a sudden they stop. Mm-hmm. And, you know, for a couple of weeks, it's just really nice to do something. Right. Do nothing. Just hang out, maybe. But there's this period of time between 2 weeks and maybe 18 months. From the people I've worked with over the years, and it's probably about a couple thousand by now, these folks have this euphoria for a little bit, and then they get bored. How many times can you clean the garage?
Well, right. So what do you recommend for them?
Well, first off, they need to work with their families so that the families understand what they're going through. This time of transition can be very emotional. You know, it's great for a couple of weeks, and then off it goes downhill. Yeah. And some families have expectations about, well, John's retiring, therefore he can babysit for us all the time. And John's got other plans. And also, husbands and wives get into some difficulties too if they haven't talked about it. The whole thing's about planning and discussion.
Right. Well, you know I'm all about that.
Yes, it's important. Yes.
Yes. Now, you have this expression, I married you, what is it?
Married you for life, but not for lunch.
In other words, get out of the house, you're driving me nuts.
That's about it, yeah. Well, I've seen this with a lot of couples. A gentleman is retiring, and he goes home, and his wife has an entire life all by herself, outside of relationship with him. So they're out there doing their thing, and all of a sudden John is home.
Right.
And he's saying, oh, I had one woman tell me that her husband retired and he's with her. He's like a dog going around her.
That's attached.
Like a leash that's attached. And she said, finally, get a hobby.
Right, right. So what I'm hearing, the main message I'm taking from this is plan, plan, plan. Be proactive about it. Retirement isn't the same as it used to be. People need to work, but they need to have some other outside activities. So if you're in a situation where you think retirement's down the road, whether you're working part-time, not going to work full-time, whatever you're doing, you might want to give Dick a call because he is the retirement guru. And you can get a hold of him by calling 216-402-3041 or go to your website at retirement-crossroads.com. So what are we having for dinner tonight?
I don't know.
Okay.
We go
we'll
out.
Be right back with Ask Coach Kathy.
Coming up, If your twosome is starting to get tiresome, Kathy offers help for hope and happiness. And next week, medical news that has hit the headlines. What it means for you next week on Can You Relate with Kathy Dawson.
Everybody wins when you decide to donate your ride to Our Lady of the Wayside.
Our Lady of the Wayside is so much more than a car donation program. For over 40 years, we've helped thousands of physically and mentally challenged citizens live more comfortable lives within our network of homes. Our services range from assisting with personal care to developing productive personal growth. With your generous support and help, we can reach out to so many more. Y'all can help. Visit wayside.org or stop in to see us today. You can change lives.
This is the Ask Coach Kathy segment. This is where you get a chance to write in a question to me and I will answer it anonymously on the air. Here is this week's question. Kathy, my friend and I are getting married this summer, but I still don't know anything about his finances. Whenever I ask him about his salary or his debts, he tells me not to worry, that it's his business, not mine. Am I being too nosy? Absolutely not. Don't you dare walk down that aisle until you learn about his finances, and he needs to know about your finances. And I'm talking things like your salary, your investments, your debt, your asset. Whatever it is you have, you need to sit down and really have total disclosure. No secrets are allowed. All right. I talk to engaged couples about this, and then once you're married, it's important to have a regular financial meeting so that you stay abreast to the whole thing. So remember, total disclosure. Now, if you have a question you'd like me to answer, you can email me at canyourelatetv.com, and I'll be happy to answer it anonymously. Stay tuned because I'll be back to tell you about what's up next week on the show.
You can get in touch with Kathy by calling 216-932-5016 or visit kathythecoach.com.
Thank you so much for joining us for Can You Relate? Next week, we're going to talk about, do you fight in front of your kids, and is that a good or a bad thing? So I'll see you next Monday on Can You Relate? Have a great week.
Wardrobe provided by Aurora Farms Premium Outlets. Hair and makeup courtesy of John Roberts Salon and Spa. Want to learn more about today's topics? Suggest segments? Add your input. You can do all this and more at www.canyourelatetv.com. Can You Relate with Kathy Dawson is presented by CK Media Productions.